Walk into any courthouse in Texas, or anywhere in America, and the facade shouts what's inside. Criminal courts, civil courts, family courts. The massive towers of stone? A charade so secret, until now. Inside, the machinery is the same, operating pursuant to civil rules using simple accounting and ledgers. Every so-called court is really a commercial court in disguise. What exactly are the massive towers of stone called courts? Like clowns in a circus, different venues for the same circus. Here in Texas, according to Dun & Bradstreet, these courts are legally called the Judiciary Courts of the State of Texas Incorporated, and listed as a subsidiary of the State of Texas Incorporated, established by the people of Texas in 1845. Join me now on a journey as I explain every facet of these commercial proceedings, from the initial charge to the final discharge, and everything in between of the commercializing of the courts as for-profit corporations, where the commodities such as assets and liabilities are really humans unwittingly caught up in one-sided adhesion contracts. Scene 2. The accusation equals presentment. It begins with suspicion. A police officer claims probable cause. A neighbor submits a sworn affidavit. On the surface, that's an accusation. But in commerce, it's a presentment. Commercial paper flowing forward. Waiting for acceptance. Acceptance creates obligation. Obligation demands performance. A contract on the sly. Signed, sealed, and delivered. All without your knowing hand. Scene 3. The warrant equals draft check. Next up is the ever-popular warrant. Search warrants, bench warrants, and arrest warrants. They call it an order. But in commerce, it is a check, a draft, a security. The judge draws it seeking an endorser, which is you. A law enforcement officer presents the warrant. However, so far, neither you or the officer know it's really a financial transaction now gone seriously sideways. The pen really is mightier than the sword in this case. When the warrant fails to be legally endorsed to settle the matter, well then, someone has to pay up. That someone is you. Your body is the collateral. Signed, executed, enforced, presentment and acceptance. Here and above, there was no acceptance. The judge, his or her honor, have now been dishonored. When the warrant was presented, you didn't accept and endorse. It was then enforced to the fullest extent of the law. Scene 4. Police equals policy enforcers, booking equals inventory 5 O's here. It's the popo, everybody run. Run everybody, run. Knock knock, and the not-so-friendly policeman arrives. Policy enforcers. They don't just arrest. They process suspects into custody. How exactly? Custodianship, transportation, housing, fingerprinting, mugshots, classification, assignment, ledgered as a number in the storage facility commonly known as jail. That's chain of custody. In commerce, chain of title. You've been entered as inventory, a unit on the ledger, counted, tracked, reconciled. Now you await your arraignment, or bail, and a bailer to submit a bond as surety for your promise to pay and promise to appear as the bailee. Scene 5. The charge equals credit. They say, you are charged with a crime. In law, that's accusation. In commerce, it's credit posted to an account. Credit on account. The prosecutor drafts the charging instrument. The judge charges the jury. Same word. Same ledger. If not settled, it moves to the secretive grand jury for further proceedings. And the market decides, does the grand jury issue a true bill or no bill? A validated instrument or a dishonored instrument? Our bills have to be paid to stay in honor within our contracts. If we don't, bad things start to happen beyond our control. It is better to have been no billed than to have been billed at all. Scene 6. PreTrial equals plea bargaining. Before trial begins, the bargaining starts in earnest. They call it pretrial posturing. But it is a negotiation, a meeting of the minds. A time when bargaining takes on an entirely new meaning. The prosecutor says, "I'm offering 10 years today. If you don't take the 10 today, it's 15 years next hearing. Take the deal, you'll be out on parole in a few years." 5, 10, 15, 25, or 60 years. Pressure, anxiety, and high stakes abound. That's settlement. Like creditors issuing loans. Pay early. Pay less. In this case, an adhesion contact most cannot afford. Avoid the cost of trial, punishments, and penalties by taking the deal. Scene 7. Grand jury equals bill or no bill. When the bargaining fails to reach an agreement, the grand jury begins deliberations within 120 days of the alleged offense. The prosecutor then proceeds to convince the grand jury of probable cause, and must prove enough evidence to proceed further with a trial by jury. The grand jury, having heard all testimony and evidence, must choose between indictment or no indictment, or in commercial terms, presents either a true bill or a no bill. A bill is always commercial. A bill of exchange. A bill of lading. A dollar bill. Here, a bill of indictment. Validated paper. Or rejected paper. Either way, it's commerce, and it's criminal what takes place in the hallowed halls of justice. It's always about money. Scene 8. Trial equals marketplace of claims. The trial by jury is the marketplace. Evidence is tendered. Objections are reservations. Motions are applications. Having heard all the testimony and evidence, the judge charges the jury to find whether you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, or not. Having found you guilty as charged, the judge then issues the warehouse receipt, your judgment and sentence, which meets all requirements pursuant to the Texas Business and Commerce Code Section 7.202. In finance, it fixes a debt. In criminal law, it fixes terms and condition, fines, fees, and penalties. But it's the same act. Obligation entered, inventory added to the institution. Akin to financial institutions, Texas has a correctional institutions division. The accounting ledger now reflects your debt to society, complete with credits, debits, trustees, trust funds, and stored in a prison unit. Scene 9. Charge to the jury equals charge to the ledger. The judge says, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I now charge you." In law, instruction. In commerce, credit to the account. The jury now holds the ledger, and they reconcile the ledger by the jury foreperson endorsing the charge to the jury and presenting it to the judge for issuance of the warehouse receipt. Scene 11. Remand equals transfer of collateral. Then the words that seal it, the defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff. Collateral transferred. The sheriff delivers the goods. From county jail to TDCJCID. From one warehouse division to another. Bus. And Commander Code Section 7.202 Form of warehouse receipt. A. A warehouse receipt need not be in any particular form. B. Unless a warehouse receipt provides for each of the following, the warehouse is liable for damages caused to a person injured by its omission. 1. The location of the warehouse facility where the goods are stored, TDCJCID. 2. The date of issue of the receipt, date of sentencing. 3. The unique identification code of the receipt, case or cause number. 4. A statement whether the goods received will be delivered to the bearer, to a named person, or to a named person or its order, defendant to be remanded to the custody of the sheriff. 5. The rate of storage and handling charges, but if goods are stored under a field warehousing arrangement, a statement of that fact is sufficient on a non-negotiable receipt. Court fees, fines, penalties, and other credits, debits, terms and conditions. 6. A description of the goods or the packages containing them, your name, date of birth, race, and gender. 7. The signature of the warehouse or its agent, the judge representing the state of Texas Incorporated. 8. If the receipt is issued for goods that the warehouse owns, either solely, jointly, or in common with others, the fact of that ownership, and custodianship via remand to the sheriff to TDCJCID. 9. A statement of the amount of advances made and of liabilities incurred for which the warehouse claims a lien or security interest. But if the precise amount of advances made or of liabilities incurred is, at the time of the issue of the receipt, unknown to the warehouse or to its agent that issued the receipt, a statement of the fact that advances have been made or liabilities incurred and the purpose of the advances or liabilities is sufficient. This would include days, or credits, incarcerated prior to sentencing. C. A warehouse may insert in its receipt any terms that are not contrary to this title and do not impair its obligation of delivery under Section 7.403, obligation of warehouse or carrier to deliver, excuse, or its duty of care under Section 7.204, duty of care, contractual limitation of warehouse's liability. Any contrary provisions are ineffective. Until you see this side-by-side comparison, you would never believe you have been warehoused by a state for the secret backdoor accounting the 60-year bond, or promised to pay the state's moneys and substantiate the for-profit corporate status. Scene 10. Sentence equals term of debt the jury's verdict returned, like an obligation. Another presentment seeking an acceptance, performance, and the black-robed neutral party then admonishes you, before stating, "You are a danger to the citizens of Harris County, Texas, therefore, by the authority vested to me by the state of Texas, Inc., you are sentenced to a term of not less than 60 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Correctional Institutions Division." A term, with conditions, and state fines, court fees, and of course, the penalty. In law, a sentence. In commerce, the maturity of a debt. 60 years. A 60-year obligation to maturity. You are the collateral pledged for the 60-year term. Scene 12. Judgment and sentence equals warehouse receipt. The paperwork is called judgment and sentence. But in truth, it is a warehouse receipt. It names the item. It lists the charges. It sets the term. In commerce, a warehouse receipt certifies goods for storage. In criminal law, it certifies a person for custody. Subject to charges. Until discharge. Scene 13. Prison equals warehouse, count time equals inventory, and now you are stored in the vast prison warehouse. Once called Texas State Farms. Now, the TDCJCID Huntsville Unit. All units, commercial accounting. Accounting units, categorized in divisions. Inside, the ritual, count time. Why count 12, 16, 24 times a day? It's not just for security. It is inventory control. Accounting. People as stock. You are the inventory. Stock reconciled. Scene 14. Trustees and trust fund accounts inside. Offenders become state-approved trustees. The word is fiduciary. Every Texas offender has a trust fund account. Deposits. Withdrawals. Balances. Commissary and outside third-party purchases through escrow. One trust for your time. Another trust for your funds. The warden. Your ward. Scene 15. Credits and debits equals time. Ledger time itself becomes accounting. Every day served is a debit. Good time, work time, education time or bonus time, all credits. Misconduct. Disciplinary case. You get a chargeback. Loss of privileges, loss of good time, loss of trustee status. Or moved to a more secured location to protect the inventory, or the wardens of the wards, you. The prisoner's timesheet is a bank statement. Debits. Credits. Balance due. Scene 16. Parole and probation equals conditional credit parole. Probation. Conditional credit extensions. Freedom on terms. The commodity, you, are transferred from one division to another until the full term reaches maturity, 60 years. Covenants enforced. Break the covenant, credit revoked. In finance, that's acceleration. In corrections, revocation. Same law, same teeth. Scene 17. Discharge equals release of debt. And finally, the word that closes the account. Discharge. In bankruptcy, a debt is discharged. In prison, a sentence is discharged. Same word. Same act. Ledger closed. Balance zero. I have paid my debt to society. Not a metaphor. Just more bookkeeping of the parasitic juvenile delinquent bully called the State of Texas Incorporated, a for-profit corporation using slave labor by trafficking humans between persons, the county jail, to TDCJ State Jail, or TDCJ CID, and maybe to TDCJ Parole Division. In reality, our governments are not any more ethical or moral than the criminals that buy, sell, and trade humans for profit. Scene 18. Closing. The circus from complaint to discharge. From accusation to warehouse. From charge to credit. From term to maturity. From judgment to warehouse receipt. Every word is commercial. Every step is a transaction. The judge. The prosecutor. The defense. All bar members. All employed and paid by the same entity, the County of Harris, Texas. And you are the collateral. This isn't justice. It's commerce. The only question left: to bill or to no bill. That is today's $25,000 question. The three-ring circus called a judicial system is clearly structured to win at any cost through misconduct, lies, misstating law, suppressing exculpatory evidence or testimony. There are three rings: the judge in one, the prosecutor in another, and finally, Bozo the Clown, the hired gun you retain to defend you because you are mentally incompetent to handle your legal affairs. These court jesters act out this elaborate charade presenting truths, lies and misdirection before a jury of your peers, but not really your peers, and you watch the performance with expectations your hired gun will prevail. The only issue with that picture? Your hired gun has an allegiance to the state bar, and not to you, the client. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the topic and education, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and toggle the notification bell for new content, and leave a comment below about your experiences, legal remedies, or something missed in this video.